Ukraine is at war, and it has been at war since 2014, but it has been invaded by the Russian Federation. And it's my first speech since this happened, because you won't believe it, how difficult it is to sink in if your parents are spending this night in a shelter and have obviously air raids. You don't know, but you've seen it in the movies, most of you, how it is to sit in a shelter and listen to sirens, but my parents are doing it now for 4 days. They are 75 and 78. 2 directors of the UBCC are sitting also in the shelters in Kiev. One of them had their apartment destroyed by Russian rocket. The other one, who couldn't be here today and for whom Rafal spoke, he is on his way to Ukraine bringing a minibus of ammunition to support military actions. Most of my friends, and I'm a lawyer by my day job, most of my legal lawyers' friends, they've taken arms, they're in the territorial armies, they're defending Kiev. They are removing the markings from the buildings which are made for bombs to be dropped. So, and doing tasks which nobody would think in 21st century educated person, a lawyer, should be doing, risking their lives and obviously not knowing if they make it until tomorrow. Because right now, as we speak, Kharkiv is getting bombed by Russia. It's a fact. You can look videos, live videos, you can see that's happening right now as we are here sitting nicely in this very safe place. But it's safe for now, because I think it's important to understand that the threat which, unfortunately, Putin's regime presents to not just to Europe, but on a world scale, is immense. And the fact of aggression is probably the first evidence in 8 years which now the world can actually clearly see and maybe doesn't need any additional evidence in order to act. 8 years ago, Lithuanian-British City Club, and some of you are here today, had an event after the annexation of Crimea where I was invited to speak together with Edward Lucas, whom many of you know as well as a deputy editor of The Economist magazine.
Yeah. He's here.
Oh, Edward. Well, so, and then you will remember that event where there was, I spoke about the fact that it was the beginning of the Third World War. That was quoted at me very recently, by a Russian company who was a party to arbitration where I sat as arbitrator. They claimed I must be biased because I dared to speak something like that. It was on 13th of January 2022, way before invasion happened. Well, they proved that I was actually right, because on 24th of February it actually happened. They did invade, and that's a fact. And it's very atrocious. Now, I try to be brief because I understand the time is very valuable, but again, the war has started 8 years ago. Just don't be kidded. It's not 5 days. It's 8 years. It just now came into the phase which is similar to what we always were taught in Soviet Union. On 22nd of June 1941, the enemy, Germans, broke our borders. No, that's not it. That's exactly what happened now. On 24th at 5 a.m. in the morning, Russian planes bombed all the major cities, all the airports. Just so you understand, 1 day before that happened, my 15-year-old daughter was to fly into that airport. We have a ticket. She was meant to fly. And I just thought it looked something not quite right. And I said, maybe you shall not be flying. And next morning this happened. It was that close. I still have the ticket. So, when you understand how close these things are to you personally, you suddenly understand that this is evil which cannot be stopped because there is no explanation, no excuse about NATO borders, anything which can bring justification to these acts. And anyone who tries to justify it is actually the same criminal as Putin is. I don't want to blame all Russian people, because many of them are very supportive. Amount of messages I received and many Ukrainians received over these days is enormous. But silence kills. And it's just important that there is a concerted effort to do something about this, because now it is there. It's happening right now. What's important to understand, Putin tried to take over Ukraine in 3 days. Now intelligence has revealed those plans, that intention was that Ukrainian people will meet Russians with open arms. I think most of you have seen plenty of evidence that's far from truth. In fact, Ukrainians of all, no matter Russian or Ukrainian speaking, they fight. I'm just trying to be consistent, but you understand it's very emotional for me because it's more than, it's very personal. That's why I'm just trying to keep my composure. So I don't want to speak much longer because you can see the papers. British press does a great job, and you can see everything which is happening on a daily basis, and there are lots of resources. So I think that the world doesn't lose focus on the ultimate goal to make sure that Putin is stopped this time, and it can only be made by the concerted effort. He will not want to lose. Don't kid yourself, he will go to negotiations. You cannot trade Ukraine for anything, because it will not be fair trade. First of all, Ukrainians will not surrender. They will fight till the last man. And you probably have seen that if Ukrainians, the slogan, if Russians put down arms and go home, there will be no war. That is truth. If Ukrainians surrender on their own land, there will be no Ukraine. And it's happening now. Please support Ukraine. Thank you so much, and glory to Ukraine.